Jim Dietlow, and I am the voice and face of the region here for the next hour and a half, 2 hours and a half actually, here on AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7 FM. Also Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and streaming live on the TuneIn app if you're out of town and you're like, hey man, I just want to listen to some JOB, because we are proud to define what it means to be a region rat. Standing outside on Indianapolis Boulevard in my Hassey Construction safety wear, because you know what? You always have to be concerned about safety. And Hassey Construction has been around since 1920, and that has always been one of their top concerns, is safety on the job site. And right now I'm looking down. It's kind of foggy. One of the ways to really see if it's foggy is if you could see all the lights of the tower, which is only 7 blocks away, and I can barely see all the lights. So you got a little bit of fog in the distance, and just kind of a London-y kind of day. Not real windy or anything, but it is certainly gray and cold, damp. Who wrote this? The day of his death. The day of his death was a dark, cold day. Is that how that went? Of his death. It's not that big of a... The day of his death was a dark, cold day. Yes, it was Yates. Yes, that's what I thought. It's spelled like Yeats, like somebody gooses you and you go, Yeats! No, but it's actually Yates. Let's take out a bahanya. He disappeared in the dead of winter. The brooks were frozen, the airports almost deserted, and snow disfigured the public statues. The mercury sank in the mouth of the dying day. Here it is. This is a great line. Here we go. What instruments we have agree, the day of his death was a dark, cold day. Well, that's not today. The day of his death would have been a damp, cold day today at 34 degrees. All right, what's going on in the world? You know, around here, yesterday I had on Jenkins and Perez, Ed Jenkins and Emiliano Perez, as I actually hosted the Community Programming Initiative yesterday, as that was the sheriff's show. Sheriff couldn't make it, and we'll get him one of these days. I think last month he had something to do. This month he was not feeling well. So, you know, one of these times we'll get Sheriff Oscar Martinez in here. But we had some very capable guys from the Sheriff's Department come in and talk about things that are going on in the Sheriff's Department. Yesterday after 8:30, I also had Dr. Mary Telak, and I hosted that. She has an interesting way of going about medicine, and I've always liked the way that she thinks, because she made a parallel. She's like, you know what, I was really thinking about it, Jed, that her medicine and the way we're doing media kind of coincide. That's possibly why we've had such a long relationship of doing her show, and that she's trying to convince people to do things like telemedicine and to take their own wellness into their own hands. And she's got a points system, and she's flirting with concierge medicine. Anybody have a concierge doctor? If you do, call me, 219-845-1100. You know, ever since, you know, I'm in a family with a bunch of doctors. My brother is a doctor, so that's like instant, hey, dude, what about this thing on my toe? And he'll say, you know what, I'll do anything for you, brother, but I ain't looking at that toe. Creeps me out. But anyways, that kind of stuff. Or I go over and see one of the Fourites. My sister married into a bunch of doctors. And then if I want to have a baby, my cousin Doug is a doctor. Or, believe it or not, my cousin Dennis Smith is a doctor. But I'm too embarrassed to go. He's a podiatrist in Crown Point. And I went to him once, and I was kind of embarrassed. I go, you know, I got runner's toe. He goes, yeah, 3% of the population has it. Maybe 1% of the population has it as bad as you do. Maybe you could have washed your feet all those years you were running 5 miles a day. Hey, what's going on? Standing out in the middle of Indianapolis Boulevard in my Hassey Construction safety gear. It's kind of nice. Alex Dietlow, I know you're up. Wake up. Alex and I were talking to my cousin Dwayne's kid, and we were talking about how Indianapolis Boulevard 147 years ago, our forefathers walked down this road from Chicago after the Chicago fire, and how cool that is to be doing radio out there. Hey, you know the name Sam Nunberg? Sam Nunberg. Nunberg. Grebnun, Mass. Mass Grebnun. Evidently, he's got some stuff to say about Donald Trump, and he's getting a little weird on national media. He went on and had a little rant about Mueller's investigation of the Russian interference into the elections. Like, why would I just give up all these emails? That's ridiculous. I got to give up all my emails. And, well, I don't know about you. Hey, what's happening? Another beeper and a waiver. Hi. And that was a garbage truck, Waste Management. And what we think about it. If you had to give up all your texts and emails to somebody. I mean, it's a bit invasive, really. You know, every once in a while, like, you know, the wife will send you something, and it has like a double entendre, and so you use it as you are still in an 8th grade humor mentality, and you say something like a little dirty on the text, and then later your wife will be like, "Hey, get that off your text. I mean, I don't want anybody to ever see that." And then you're like, "Well, I guess so. It's still kind of funny." All that matters is if it was funny. It doesn't matter if it's off color, inappropriate. It could just be taken in a different way. As long as it's funny, I'm okay with that. And no, get rid of that. And wow, this guy is flying. You are flying, Mr. Oversized Load. Mr. Oversized Load is flying southbound on Indianapolis Boulevard. If you guys are Highland cops, you want to catch a guy, maybe he'll get on the highway. But he's got a big sign that says Oversized Load in the front, and then he's got a big long beam on the back, and he was just flying. Anyways, I can understand Mr. Nunberg's thing. Really? You're investigating Donald Trump, and I worked for him like for a very short period, and they fired me, and now I got to give you all my texts and emails. Well, he was the guy, remember, that got fired by the Trump administration for like a racist comment on social media. So he's probably, maybe his aren't like sexual things you do with your wife that he's worried about. They're more like racist comments he makes with his fraternity brothers from University of Minnesota. Whatever it might be, the guy doesn't want to give it up, but he doesn't like Donald Trump. I don't know what is going on, but I have a weird feeling about it right now that the walls are slowly closing in. And I know exactly why that is. I didn't necessarily have this feeling until I listened to the podcast Slow Burn, which is a podcast about Watergate. And I would recommend it to anybody. At nighttime, Alexis and I like to put the phone in between us and listen to some stuff. Once in a while, we'll listen to the morning show or to an interview that Harlow did, or once in a while, we'll listen to Ryan and Pagati talk about the NCAA basketball, men's basketball. And so we put it in the, it's just, instead of watching TV, but we listened to this whole thing about Watergate, and it started rather innocuously, like 2 years before it actually came to a head. And it came with a kind of I don't know if she was semi-alcoholic wife of, hey, what's up? Of one of the cabinet members, and I can't remember his name, or her name. And she was like saying, oh, this is bad, why this guy's, this whole Watergate thing. And then one of the congressmen came out, and he wanted to really go at the Watergate thing, and then he basically got voted out. And then there was like some obscure characters that wound up being massive characters. And that's what this name Nunberg reminds me of. Like a name that will only be, a name that would only be ever remembered because it is in, he brought the president down, or he had something, or he brought somebody down. Maybe not the president, but that's go listen to Slow Burn and you'll see what I'm saying. It's kind of a weird, like everybody's in on it, and there's these like weird characters way off in the weeds, like some assistant to an assistant of an assistant is the one who had the goods, and that's kind of what I get the feeling about Nunberg. All right, what else is going on around here? You know, we are still reeling from an amazing week of high school basketball sectionals, but we're setting up for the regionals, and we set our schedule for Michigan City. We have partnered up with the Region Sports Network and Chris Ramirez. He'll go out with his crew out to Michigan City, and they'll do Lake Central and Valparaiso. Ryan Walsh has pulled the trump card, and he is not going to his favorite town of North Judson, Saint Pierre. He's going to be going to LaPorte, and he will be covering Calumet and Hammond High in the regionals. And then Sam Michael, he was sitting in the foxhole and drew the short straw, and he will be going to North Judson, Saint Pierre, and he will be, you know, Andrean's going to win, and Ben Coert and one of the cameramen and Sam Michael are going to spend the entire day in North Judson, Saint Pierre, which is kind of a joke in the broadcasting circles because if the region team wins in the morning, it's just far enough where you don't want to drive all the way back home. As a matter of fact, I know exactly how far it is from Griffith, Indiana, because when my stepson Steve was in, I think it was like a sophomore in high school, Russ Radke was the coach of Griffith, and he had like an Orama or a preseason thing, and we always drove every other year to North Judson, Saint Pierre for that, and we, hey, what's up? Thanks for beeping, National. And we would drive to NJSP, forget the SP or those people will be peeved off at you. It's 60 miles exactly from my old house in Griffith to the football field at North Judson, Saint Pierre. And it's not an easy 6 miles. So once you get there, you don't want to drive all the way back. And you don't want to drive into Valparaiso because that's a long way. And what in Sam Hill is there to do there other than to go to the Metropolitan Opera House to see the Bodines? But anyway, so we have set that schedule. All right, what else is going on around the Calumet region? Pretty kind of slowish. I'm waiting for some more entertainment news to come out of the Lake County Sheriff's race, but it's been kind of quiet lately. Betty Dominguez, I see, has a big billboard on US 30, and she is the only, no, wait, there's 2 females in there, I believe. And then there's Dave Dowling, and then there's Oscar Martinez, the existing sheriff. And then there's Rich Ligon and Mike Brown, and I don't know, they're all over the place. And I was hoping that I would like get daily doses of entertainment from that race, but it kind of quieted down for a little bit. The problem I still have is who Jackie Sutton is. Are you Jackie Sutton? Are you my mother? No, I am not your mother. Hey, do you like my hat? No, I do not like your hat. And I'm going to come out and stand out in the middle of Indianapolis Boulevard because there's a certain peace at this hour of the morning when it's gray and it's damp. Hey, what's up? Thanks for beeping and waving. I appreciate it. Nice truck. I couldn't quite see, but I want to say that was a woman driving a nice truck. And if it was a guy, I'm sorry. I just didn't quite see it. But, you know, there's something about like a truck mama. You know how they used to have a motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big bike down? Motorcycle mama, won't you lay your big bike down? Now you got like a truck mama driving northbound on Indianapolis Boulevard on her way to what? What is she going to fix? She's got a big tool chest across the back. Either that or there's a hairy dude in the scene somewhere. Maybe he's in the driver or in the passenger seat. Hey, Lays, we just saw sun chips. All right, guys, I'm going to go inside, and we're going to catch up on some things that are going on today. I've got some bad news for everybody. This is especially directed at MX, Chuck Pullen, and Mad Mac. and a couple of other folks that call in. No Verley today. Where, oh, where can our Verley be? Someone has taken her away from me. Now I gotta carry a radio show by myself, which shouldn't be happening on Tuesday. All right, guys, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, Hammond, Indiana, the voice and face of the region. Click.
Hi, I'm Mary Eastep, Athletic Training Outreach Coordinator for Community Healthcare System Sports Medicine Program. Our fellowship-trained, board-certified experts are ready to treat the athlete in you. Whether it's pain or injury from activity on the court, in the field, or in your everyday life, we offer services and locations throughout Northwest Indiana. Visit our website to learn more at comhs.org/sports.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
Injured in an accident that was not your fault? Get Gladish. Not only does he have over 20 years of experience, but Attorney Gladish is also a board-certified civil trial specialist by the National Board of Trial Advocacy, a member of both the Best Lawyers in America and Indiana Super Lawyers, and has achieved the highest possible peer review rating of AV by Martindale-Hubbell. Let Attorney Gladish, along with his attorneys and staff, deal with the insurance company and its attorneys while you are putting your life back together. Call for a free consultation, 219-838-1900, or visit thegladishlaw.com. Attorney Gladish's office is located at 3235 45th Street in Highland, Indiana. Remember, injured? Get Gladish. Experience, ratings, and certifications count.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
This is Christina Engel, and you're listening to WJOB AM 1230 and FM 104.7 in Hammond, Indiana.
Fill your garage with your dream car during the Honda Dream Garage Spring event going on now at Napleton's River Oaks Honda. They're Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Hondas. Napleton's River Oaks Honda has a huge selection of brand new and certified pre-owned Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
Did you know that Hammond, Indiana is having their first annual St. Patrick's Day Parade on March 17th at 1 p.m.? The parade route extends from 173rd Street in Kennedy to 161st Street. Please join us. We are going green. And don't forget to stop in at Freddy's Steakhouse, located at 6442 Kennedy Avenue on the corner of 106th. Dinner will be serving corned beef and cabbage and green beer. For more information, please call Freddy's Steakhouse 219-844-1500. Hammond's St. Patrick's Day Parade on March 17th.
Everybody, what's going on? AM 1230 WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED of the region. 604 in the Calumet region. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along pretty well. it's really light traffic, which I guess isn't that surprising. I mean, the construction hasn't started. That's the key. The weather's a little bit dicey in terms of some moisture coming out of the sky and sitting on the roadways, but it's really not that. It's not that. Yeah, look at it. You guys are watching. Maybe a little bit of a brake stopper at the merge, and that's about it. And traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. I did not realize that you could pay if you buy a car at Napleton River Oaks Honda, you pay Indiana sales tax. Is that right? I mean, you don't pay Illinois sales tax? Really? Well, gosh, I bet there's people that would say, hey, I'm going to go get a Honda, but I wouldn't go over to Napleton because I don't want to pay Illinois sales tax. Well, that's good to know. I honestly didn't know that. I didn't know either that they had legalized marijuana on Sundays, or at least I thought I knew that because everybody was talking about Sunday sales, and then I went over to Strachan Van Til, and it was actually beer and wine and that they were selling instead, which was kind of cool because I got a 6-pack of Bud Light. But, if you just pay attention, you can really learn things. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. What do you have in terms of the weather going on here? 33 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. Let's say it's going up to about 44 degrees today. An afternoon rain or shower coming. And then you got another one maybe in the evening. And tonight, then it starts getting colder. If you guys pay attention to this, it warms up to about 43 degrees by noon. And then slowly it is going to drop throughout the day. So let me see. What's your highest point? Yeah, right around noon or 1 p.m. And then by 6 p.m., it should be around 37 degrees. And then by midnight, you're talking right around 30 degrees. So you're dropping considerably. Yeah, right around midnight, maybe about 32 degrees. But by tomorrow morning, when I walk outside there, it should be about 27 degrees. So gonna get a little chilly overnight. And then tomorrow, a snow shower in the morning, and then maybe some sunshine later in the day. And then by Thursday, chilly with partial sunshine and a high of 35. And then Friday, chilly with clouds and sun and a high of 39. So as soon as stuff goes through, we won't have any precipitation for a little while. All right, weather is brought to you by our good friends at CertifiedElectrician.com. If you need electrical work done, hey, have a union-based electrical contractor do it for you. Markets, they are up overnight again as it continues to come back from the spankety-wank crankshank that we had recently after the tariffs were announced. And speaking, the Dow is up 154 points overnight, and that is a big jump for the stocks. And what exactly happened with the tariffs? Let's see where the market was yesterday, huh? It was up 336 points. That is an amazing swoop up. We should be up over 25,000 again. And what happened was, it was kind of a weird sequence of events. Donald Trump, who is the master of, chaos living, came out with basically a surprise announcement about tariffs on steel and aluminum. Evidently, it caught staffers by surprise, and they were scrambling to kind of, put out the fire that was lit amongst some allies. A lot of Republicans in the Senate were not happy about tariffs. They want free trade, and Donald Trump had some explaining to do that he just didn't want to. And so it's a little bit more up in the air if it's going to be an across-the-board 25% tariff on steel coming into America and 10% on aluminum. Evidently, we're maybe backing off on our largest trading partners, which would be Canada and Mexico, but the president is calling for a new NAFTA, and if that happens, then maybe we won't have the tariff. So in one way, it is a president who's getting tough and just looking out for American interests. And in another way, it is a president gone ramshackle on the international business markets and just totally pissing off our closest allies. So one or the other of those is where you stand. It really kind of depends on where you stand politically. But one way or another, it's never boring, put it that way. And anyways, the markets again are up $1.58 after getting, I think it was down over 3% after the tariff announcement, and now we're coming back with a vengeance. So maybe it was just a chance to buy, and here we go on up to 30,000. Who knows? All right, what's going on around everywhere? Let's take a look here on the, well, you know what? AP Indiana State News is really kind of kicking me in the butt here. Here you go. Bill letting dreamers to get licenses has cleared the Indiana House. Young immigrants, often referred to as dreamers, would no longer be prohibited from obtaining professional licenses under emergency legislation approved Monday by the Indiana House, measure supported by Governor Eric Holcomb. There are hints it could face stiff opposition in the Senate. I know the governor supports it, but I'm confident not everyone does, said the Republican House Speaker Brian Bosma, who voted for the bill. The term dreamers refers to young immigrants typically brought to the U.S. illegally as children who have developed protection from deportation under a program that President Obama put forth known as DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. They are legally allowed to work and go to school, but under a recently adopted policy by the Indiana Professional Licensing Agency, they can no longer obtain or renew a professional license for dozens of professions, ranging from cosmetology to nursing to real estate agents. So the DACA protections passed by the House on Monday are included in a broader bill addressing professional licensing issues. But so, isn't that kind of weird? You'd be a kid who was brought here illegally, and then you get older and you have a license to maybe do hair or to put cosmetics on or even be a nurse, and you're working as that, and then all of a sudden you can't work as that because you don't have a license and you can't get a license in Indiana. So it really, the whole immigration system just beats the Sam Hill out of me, if you know what I mean. The Great Lakes advocates are asking Congress for water protections. A coalition of Great Lakes advocates is urging Congress to provide funds for cleaning up the region's waters and strengthening its water infrastructure. Groups representing businesses, industry, environmentalists, and so forth are going to Washington, D.C. this week. They'll visit lawmakers who represent the 8 states around the Great Lakes. Among them is full funding of the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which usually gets about $300 million a year. President Donald Trump's proposed budget would provide only $10 million for the next fiscal year. The coalition also will push for more upgrades of drinking water and sewage treatment systems, farm conservation programs that prevent fertilizer runoff and infrastructure, protect against invasive species, and enhance Great Lakes navigation. You ever drive down a river when those, what are they called? The fish from Japan when they're jumping? I saw that. What do you call those things? Come on, guys. All right, well, if it's not about the 3rd round draft pick for the Bears coming up here, these guys can't help me out here. But I think the invasive species of fish. What's that? Asian carp. That's what it's. Asian carp. When they're jumping, you ever see those on like a tributary to the Lake Michigan? And where was I? I was in Indiana, and we were driving over one of the rivers, and gosh, I want to say it was a Kankakee River. And we pulled over and watched all these Asian carp just jumping up, man. And a boat was driving by, and I gotta believe that at some point those Asian carp driving boats. Wabash River. It was the Wabash River in Lafayette. And we were driving along that road that goes from I-65 to downtown Lafayette. And they had pulled over. And look at that. Look at those fish just jumping up. Anybody ever driving in a boat and have Asian carp jump into your boat? I'd love to hear about it. 219-845-1100, because it looks like we're going to go from $300 million to $10 million under a new budget proposal by the president to basically not give any money to the Great Lakes. All right, what else is going on around everywhere? You guys tell me. 219-845-1100. No Verley today. She is. She had something to do, so she will not be here with us. She'll be back with us on next Tuesday. You know, in Purdue news, the university says its online college is expected to launch next month after receiving final regulatory approval. Now, Purdue University Global received a notice of approval from the Higher Learning Commission. Purdue, of course, remember, bought for-profit Kaplan University and renamed it to expand its reach into online education. The deal was announced last April. About 30,000 Kaplan students will transition to Purdue Global, whose main campus will be in Indianapolis. Purdue says current Kaplan president Betty Vandenbosch will be the chancellor of Purdue Global and report to Purdue president Mitch Daniels. Purdue faculty are concerned Purdue's brand could be hurt if Purdue Global cannot match the academic rigor of the school's brick-and-mortar campuses. You know, I got to tell you, I've been kind of waiting for this as I am working on my MBA, and I have my midterm on Thursday in graduate marketing. So I am kind of out of commission in the office here. I left yesterday and just went home and studied all day, and doing the same thing today and tomorrow. I'm having a little trouble with break-even analysis and customer lifetime value, as when you're dyslexic, I'm still having trouble between margin and markup, believe it or not. And you just got to sit down and I got to write down the formulas and then come back to them. But anyways, I would love to be able to take some of these stuff online, and I don't know if they're gonna merge Purdue Global, and those courses are going to be applicable toward your degree or not. There's rumblings both ways of if that's going to happen. I would like to see it happen. I mean, I would like to be able to work online and on some of these classes and not have to go to school every Thursday night. But on the other hand, there is certainly a value in getting up and going to school. All right, guys, I'll be right back. AM 1230 WJOB in Hammond, Indiana, the voice and face of the region.
Flu season got you down? Just left the doctor's office and don't want to wait in line at the pharmacy? Hi, this is Ellen from Quick Scripts Pharmacy inviting you to stop into any one of our 3 locations to experience our fast and friendly service to get you out the door and feeling better faster. We accept all insurances, have free local delivery, on-site one-on-one pharmacist consultations, and competitive pricing on generics and over-the-counter products. We are located in downtown Lansing, Illinois, downtown Griffith, Indiana, and our newest location off of 231 in Parrish Avenue in St. John, Indiana. Stop in today.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
Need a ride? Call Dial-A-Ride, 932-2530, then hit number 4 on your telephone. Dial-A-Ride is free public transportation for North Township residents, sponsored by Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee. Rides available weekdays 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Dispatch call center open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Accessible vehicles available. To schedule a ride, call 932-2530, then press number 4. Dial-A-Ride service and this message, sponsored by Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee.
Hey, what's happening? 6:19, what time is it? It's time to go to Albert's. Albert's has 2 locations, of course. They are at Main and 41. Everybody knows where that is. But they're also in South Lake Mall. Let's take a look at what's going on in traffic. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway, Toro, Borman, I-65 are all moving along pretty doggone well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's take a look at the weather. Still kind of on the edge of being a little bit nasty. 33 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. Going up to a high of 43. That should happen about 12:30 this afternoon. And then it should start getting colder. And then maybe, just maybe, no, you won't see any sun today, but maybe just some grayness. And maybe even some flurries tonight, just slight flurries. By tomorrow, though, snow shower in the morning possible. A little bit of a dusting. Then it might the sun might come out later in the day on Wednesday, but it'll be cold. Should get down to about 19 overnight. And the same thing tomorrow night, get down to about 20 degrees. And high tomorrow, 33. High tomorrow, high on Thursday, 35. By Friday, it gets up to upper 30s, but still chilly, and we get a little bit colder weather. Let me see what the normal high is at this time of year. Let's see, the normal high is 43. Today is a perfect Lake Central day. Perfect day here in a perfectly normal day in the Calumet region. Weather brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. Hey, throughout the week, I'd like to talk to some of these coaches of sectional champions. They have worked hard with their teams, and I'd like to I think it was kind of a high point at the sectional that I got to cover, and that was the Lake Central sectional. And on the phone right now is the head basketball coach, Dave Molodzik. Coach, how are you?
Great, Jed. How you doing?
All right, man. I want to thank you guys again for the majestic treatment you gave us out at Lake Central. It was pretty cool having that sectional at home last week, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was great to have our student body out, as always. They travel well, and it was even better at home. And from what everybody has said about how our administration did it, came out great.
You've got I didn't realize you had such a quality of life situation there with your office right on the upstairs track, and you can come out and look at the basketball facility. I didn't even know there was an upstairs track. And I got to tell you, Coach, that I was kind of against moving it out of EC, and now that we spent the whole week down there, I can see why it really worked out. And I know you guys had a lot more people out there, and that home court advantage, it had to feel nice for Nick Anderson to shoot from the corner at his own basket against Munster.
Definitely. We shot a lot better at home this year. I'd be lying if I said that, we'd probably have shot better at another gym. There is a different feel at home. When East Chicago was playing at home, obviously they had a great energy with their crowds over the years, and we were fortunate to get it here this year, and I got to thank our athletic department for working to get that. It's not easy. It's not just an application. There's a process to it, so really thankful they took the time to do that, and the other principals voted for it as well. So it was a lot of fun. And it's just a great opportunity for multiple communities if they can host, to have the chance to host. I think it's only fair for the students and the student body.
Coach, let's look at a classic game, your Friday night game against Munster. That had turned out to be your toughest game through the sectional. And it's always a grind against Mike Hackett's team. What'd you guys do? What'd you guys do to pull that one out?
I think offensively, we found some quality shots for a long period of time. Like you said before, that game is always going to be a tight one between us. the personnel we know so well, and they're on our stuff, we're on their stuff. Up 7 at halftime, tried telling the kids, hey, you guys, I hope we could stretch it out to 12 or 15, but this game doesn't seem to work out that way. Just keep your heads in there, and if they tend to make a run like they have all season in the second half, they've been a real good second half team, and they did that against Lowell in the previous night. Lowell had a big lead, so we just had to maintain our composure and look to make a play down the stretch, and the kids did it.
Coach, watched your team for years. It seemed early on in the season that almost everything went through Justin Graciano, and I guess I was previewing the sectional that way, and then it's almost as if a slightly different team of yours, and that there's a lot more people involved on the scoring end, and it didn't seem like all of the pressure was on Graciano's shoulders. Comment on that, will you?
Yeah, that's a great point. Early on in the year, if Justin didn't score 20, 25, we didn't have a chance of winning. I think it speaks a lot to his maturity. His assists have gone up as people have given him more attention. My younger guys have matured and gotten more confident in knocking down shots. Connor Tomazik and Keon have been solid throughout the course of the season, getting us double figures, but we're finding just 4 to 6 points from some of our sophomores, and Derek Hobbs is starting to creep into the 9 or 10 point range. So we've grown quite a bit in that regard, and it's not just other guys locking Justin down, but Justin being a good teammate and finding people too.
I got to tell you could see it from being up above. As soon as Justin got the ball, Munster knew to have 2 or 3 guys in his area. I mean, you could still feel that, and even Morton did kind of the same thing, and he was kicking the ball out. Keon Sellers has stepped up also.
Yeah, he has. Really proud of Keon. Really gifted athlete, and he's had to find his way throughout the course of the season as people have adjusted on him. And he's still, finding 10 to 12 points. He's gotten more offensive rebounds, and like you said before, Justin is getting double teamed, and he's playing his way through it, and he's finding some more offensive rebounds. So it's been a season of ebbs and flows, some ups and downs, but I couldn't be prouder of our kids just staying together. Yeah.
You got Jack Davis also stepped up, and he was hitting some big shots against Morton. I mean, he was on fire. So, I mean, basically all of your top 5 can put the ball in, but you're going pretty deep right now. How deep are you going?
We're going 9, and if you'd have told me that 2 months ago, I wouldn't have believed you. So our bench is doing a fantastic job. As you said, Jack Davis is shooting with confidence, and, he's had that ability for the last couple of years. Last year he was our 8th guy, and he'd come in and knock down some shots, and now he's just shooting it with some confidence, and it really adds a dimension for us because we are such a slashing, penetrating team that when you have a couple guys in the corners like Jack and Nick and CT knocking down some shots, we become a dangerous team, and that wasn't always the case throughout the course of the season.
47-47 against Munster. If you guys haven't watched this, many of you have. Thousands of you have watched my ridiculously enthusiastic call about this. But Derek Hobbs, a sophomore for Lake Central, had the ball against Munster, and he dribbled down, and Munster cut him off, and he knew where his fellow sophomore, Nick Anderson, would be in the corner. Nick caught that ball, and falling into the first row, he hit a very improbable 3, and that had to be one of the bigger celebrations in Lake Central history in terms of it's got to be the biggest celebration because that floor's only, 3 years old?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be up on our video board next year as we do like our stuff before the games. But, yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's one of the bigger ones in the field house next door, the old field house and this gym. So,
I want to give some of the backstory there in that Nick Anderson is actually the grandson of Russ Marcinek. And if anybody knows Russ Marcinek, he was actually the coach of the 1976 Morton Governors. And that was the last time the Governors won a sectional. It's also Kevin Anderson's son. Kevin played basketball with me at Munster. Kevin has been fighting some cancer recently. So it was kind of an emotional moment all the way through. You had Morton, Lake Central, you had the family, and then Nick hits the big shot. I mean, it was more than just basketball at that moment.
Definitely. His dad couldn't attend a lot of the games this year. He'd watch it on our huddle replays and started getting out halfway through the season. And in reflecting on it, exactly like you said, I couldn't be happier for a family. Couldn't pick one out of the crowd better to enjoy that moment. Beaver is at every game. And I'm sure I haven't really talked to him about it yet. I plan to, but I'm sure it's something they've watched hundreds of times already.
Hey, well, there it is. It was, I got to tell you, it was a joy to be out at Lake Central and to watch the games that were many of them very close. Honestly, Nick Anderson's shot doesn't go in. I could be talking to Mike Hackett right now. It was that razor thin close, but there was a special force behind Lake Central, and you could kind of feel it in the field house. But now we got to look forward to the number 1 or number 2 team all state long that you guys are playing in Michigan City, and it's out of South Bend, and they've got a special player. Tell us about what you're going to do about IU's number 2 recruit.
That's a tough question. I didn't watch much Sunday because I wanted to enjoy my Sunday with my family. I haven't seen them in a couple weeks. And we really started pounding out the tape yesterday, and they're awfully good. And it's not just Demezi Anderson. And I've talked to a few coaches out that way, Al Rhodes, a few guys I've known for a while. It's really hard to glue on one guy because, as you'll see, there's 8 kids that can all dribble, pass, catch, shoot, and really good athletically. You don't go 24-0 and be ranked number 1 all year without that. So we got our hands full. The kid is really good. He's almost a better shooter off the dribble. He can hit the pull-up 3, his mid-range game, and his jabs on the wings. He's a special player. Just hopefully we can guard him and get hands up in his face and make sure it's not one of those nights he goes 15 for 20.
Demezi Anderson, if you guys haven't heard this name, has been sparkly all year long, and has his stock has been rising considerably. And Lake Central will be going in against a team that is getting national recognition in South Bend Riley. So one of the things that I noticed in the Munster game, you guys were able to control the pace at certain times because your ball. You got Derek Hobbs out there as a sophomore, one of the better ball handlers at any age in the Calumet region, and so I got to believe that going into this game, you're going to want to try to dictate some of the pace because Riley has been known to just really kind of get it going on the full court pressure and just turn it into a run and gun game. How are you going to combat that?
Well, there's a couple of avenues you can take, and for one, I always think it's bad to pass up shots that you normally take, if they're given to you against a press. Like you said before, we do have some good corner shooters, so if they're going to press us, obviously, you have to make a team pay for that. I'm hoping we can control the tempo. They're awfully improved defensively. So they can get into you. We were fortunate against Munster to have the lead at the end of quarters, and they were sagging on a couple of guys, so we were able to run that last minute and a half for the last shot. These guys will get into us, so we're going to work on a couple of things this week. The game plan is still still fluid right now, so we're going to get to work today and watch some more tape with the kids and figure out what we have in our arsenal that help combat what they do pressure-wise.
Speaking of pressure, help me out with some history here. I went down and did this game as the announcer, and I can't remember, but it was Bowman had gone down, and they played a team out of the Indianapolis area, and Bowman I think, was undefeated at the time and was pressing everyone, and they broke a press like I've never seen it. Ryan, was that Greensburg? Greensburg, yes. With McIntosh. I've never seen a team break a press better than they did. Of course, they had Rob McIntosh, and you didn't realize that he was going to be nearly all Big Ten when they had it. Mm-hmm. But, it can be done, put it that way.
Yeah, their press is totally different, I'll be honest with you. South Bend Riley's is more like a man-man run and jump. Bowman was a 2-2-1 off misses and makes, which was unusual at the time. So it's a different one, and as you said, they had McIntosh and Sellers, who's playing at Ball State right now, and Greensburg did an exceptional job of making them pay with some threes and then spreading the court in a 2-on-2. Riley will drop back into a man. So I think we'll get the ball across 10-second line. We have to make sure we don't have live ball turnovers in the half court. They get a ton of those. They're so long, and that's where they get a ton of their points. So it's not always just the press from them as much as their length in the passing lanes when you're trying to reverse it after breaking the press. Because you're going to have some guys break the press that aren't point guards. They'll take the point guard away. So going to have to work on our entries this week.
Talking to Lake Central head basketball coach Dave Malaznik. Coach is on his way. They won an amazing sectional. You guys can watch any of those games. I was on the call for all of them. You can see it right now. They're showing Sam showing some of the footage on the Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube feed. I can tell you this, Ed, it was a true high point. Lake Central did a great job, and the games were amazing. Lake Central went on to beat a Morton team that had beaten East Chicago Central the night before, and Lake Central beat Morton in the final. Scott Lush's team, you know, there was another dramatic story there, Dave, before I go on to the final thing here, and that Robert Hall died in the middle of the season, and then Scott Lush took it over, and you could feel the energy amongst those guys, and they would have loved to upset you guys, but, you know, Lush's team has to be congratulated also.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think there's a guy that's done a better job. I mean, Scott Lush has been a great coach for years and a well-respected guy and a Hessville guy and cares a lot about that school and coaches for all the right reasons. And everything and there's been more than just Coach Hall, and it happened in that school this year, and he's kept them together. And the kids that he had on the floor, I thought represented Hammond and Hammond Morton unbelievably. They did a fantastic job in the sectionals in the last couple of weeks, and I can't say enough about those kids and Coach Lush and his staff for what they did and how they handled everything. It just was an unbelievable job over there.
You know, I'd like to echo that. Also, I tried to talk to some of the players after. I talked to Kyrie after the game, and I'm like, hey man, you know, hold your head up high, and they weren't taking any of it right then. I'm sure they wanted to win, man. They went there to beat you guys, and even though they might not have been, weren't expected to be in the final, they wanted to win it, and I'm with you on that. Kudos to Hammond Morton, were exemplary for that school and for the whole city. You know, speaking of exemplary, I went down this year to a Butler game, ostensibly to see one of your former players, Tyler Weidman. And I talked to the AD, and I'm like, give me a sense of Tyler on the campus here at Butler. And he's like, man, I got to tell you, we don't know what to expect when region guys come down here. He goes, but he's kind of quiet, but he has just gone way above what you expect out of a college basketball player. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, he volunteers at the Jewish Community Center. He'll always go out and do things in the community when asked. And we would just like to have more Tyler Weidmans. Well, evidently the Big East Conference has noticed this also. Were you aware of this?
Yeah, how about that? I just saw that the other day, and he got that sportsmanship award. And Greg Doyle called me last week and did a story on him. I don't know if you've seen it yet for Senior Day, and he kind of went through all of his, as far as community citizenship accolades that he's been part of the last 4 years. He's an unbelievable kid. Even if he didn't play basketball, he'd be doing the same things. I mean, just an unbelievable kid.
Maybe they didn't quite get exactly what they wanted this year, but they still had a pretty good season. Tyler Weidman right now, let me look at him. He's averaging almost 10 points a game and 5.2 rebounds. He has the number 24 offensive rating out of more than 2,000 college players. Very, even when he played for you, he was very efficient when you could get the ball down low to him, and that has definitely happened at the college level also.
Definitely. It was like pulling teeth to get him to want to score 25. He was always so conscious of getting his teammates involved. I'll be honest with you, there's just games he scored 25, And then the next game, we'd get him the ball 4 times, and he'd be kicking it out, and we're like, what are you doing? And finally just started getting to know him, and he was just so conscious of not being the guy who scored all the points. That's just the type of kid he was. So his senior year, he started to get it where it wasn't selfish of him to score because we needed him to score, but up until that point, he was just so conscious of other people, and that's how he is in real life. Any trophy he won here, he gave away. I found that out over the years. Like his English teacher just the other day showed me his MVP DAC plaque in her room. He gave it away to teachers that he liked. So he's always been that type of kid. Just he's going to be very successful after college and whatever he chooses to do.
He's not a kid anymore, there, Coach.
Oh, I know, but
he's a man now.
He still seems like it to me. I mean, and I bring my kids to the games and how he talks to them and everything else. I still picture him on my couch playing video games, and he's probably still watching Disney cartoons. That's just the way I picture Cat.
Yep, he also helped out with the Special Olympics and is a middle school coach and conducts basketball clinics for kids with special needs. And we should be very proud, and so should you, of Tyler Weidman. We're also proud of your Lake Central Indians. You guys brought us some amazing excitement over the week, and you're going to be going in against the #1 team in the state of Indiana, and we look forward to a big region contingency going out there and supporting you along.
Well, thank you guys for the coverage, and hopefully we got one more in us, and we're going to go out to Michigan City, play hard, and have some fun.
You got it. Thanks a lot, Coach.
All right, Jed.
All right, there it is. That's Coach Dave Malosnik, the Highland guy, now at Lake Central for 12, 14 years, something like that. And I didn't mean that. I'm not just blowing smoke. Lake Central did a great job with that sectional and having pepinos every night right next to all my cameramen. They're going to have to order more food next year because those guys were loading up, but they didn't seem to mind. And we were able to pull it off with the IHSAA to be able to bring you guys those games in video so you can go back and watch that. If you're ever just looking for something to do, watch that Lake Central Munster game from Friday night or the Morton East Chicago game from Friday night. They were nail biters from the very first tip, and it was just, I guess it was a high point for a region basketball was the Lake Central sectional on Friday night, and it was a high point for us as we were not certain that we were going to be able to bring you guys basketball from 4 different sites at the same time. And a part of that is that we did partner up with the Region Sports Network to get it done. They went out to Chesterton. So we were at 3 sites and they were at 1. And then on Saturday, we're going to be at 2 sites, and then they're going to be at 1. They're going to go out to Michigan City. And so I won't be able to see Malosnik and his team play. Our guys are going to be at in LaPorte and in North Judson. So it's going to be basketball all day long on Saturday. We will have the Region Sports link on our site of the Lake Central game and of the Valparaiso game. And then, of course, we'll have our Calumet, Hammond High, and Andrean games also. So 5 games in the morning on Saturday. And good luck. I hope it all works. All right, we'll be right back. AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. Also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube, the voice and face of the region.
Do you have or are you at high risk for cardiovascular disease, also known as CVD or heart disease? Are you unable to take statin medications due to side effects? You may be eligible for a clinical research study being conducted to test the safety and effectiveness of an investigational medication that may help to reduce the occurrence of major CVD events, such as heart attacks and strokes, for patients with or at risk for CVD who are also statin intolerant. To qualify, you must be at least 18 years of age, have a history of or are at high risk for CVD, have not been able to tolerate 2 or more statins, and meet additional study criteria. Qualified participants will receive all study medication and study-related care from a dedicated team of medical staff at no cost. Health insurance is not required to participate. To find out more and to see if you qualify, call Cardiovascular Research of Northwest Indiana, LLC at 219-203-1990. That's 219-203-1990. Call now. 219-203-1990.
I'm Barbara Gadarian Muckle, Executive Director of Excel to Fitness, Northwest Indiana. Excel to Fitness is a 6-week program serving boys 3rd through 6th grade. This program is for every boy. The 12-session curriculum creates an interactive experience using speed, strength, agility, balance, and cardio while embedding character through teamwork, leadership, and goal setting. Join Excel to Fitness this season at your school, church, or recreational center. Registration begins March 12th. Contact me at 219-595-XCEL or exceltofitness.com/Northwest Indiana.
Northwestern Indiana Building and Construction Trades Council, affiliated with the Indiana AFL-CIO, works to promote economic development, work site safety, and apprenticeship and journey-level training. We also assist in securing of better wages, hours, and working conditions through collective bargaining. Check out our website, nwibuildingtrades.com, or give us a call, 219-762-2951. Northwestern Indiana Building and Construction Trades Council, building America with union labor.
Hey, what's going on? 644 in the K-Mid region. I'm Jim Deedlow, host of JED in the region. A lot of good stuff going on at Lake Central. They got their hands full. Demesius, what's his last name? Anderson? Demesius what? I can't remember it. Demezi. Oh, Demezi. Demezi, that's right. They keep calling him that. And every time they... Demezi. Demezi is the real deal. And if you guys are thinking of doing it, aren't doing anything on Saturday, is Lake Central in the first game or the second game? Yeah, so it's Lake Central playing in one game and Valpo playing in the other. I don't even know who Valpo plays. Elkhart Central. Valpo plays Elkhart Central, and Lake Central plays South Bend Riley. And Riley is as good as South Bend team has had in a long time. They're really looking for a run. And quite frankly, I talked, we have the AP vote here. We're one of 14 people in the state of Indiana. I've had the AP vote for like 10 years now. And so once in a while, I'll talk to somebody from out that way in South Bend, and they're thinking they're going to get a state championship for South Bend this year, but they got to go through Lake Central in the morning. In the text line? Yeah, okay. Hey, before we do anything, though, let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along pretty well. Maybe a little brake tap at the as you go from the Bishop Ford to the Dan Ryan. And that's about it. Traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's take a look at the weather. It's not too bad. It's just kind of a gray day outside. And I don't know. Don't you get tired of this? It got up to 60 and sunny on, was it Thursday or Friday? Alexis and I walked around Wicker Park like 4 times. And over the week, it really wasn't. And we walked on Sunday. It was chilly, but it was sunny. And there were a lot of people out, man. There were a lot of strollers out. I realized how much I want to become a grandpa one day as I saw these little babies running around. And typically, I don't even look at them. And Alexis loves to stop and do, oh, you have a beautiful baby. She says it no matter what the kid looks like to everyone. And every once in a while, it's like another Mexican woman, so they'll talk in Spanish. And then I'll hear a little bit curiosa and bonita and bebe and all that. I pick up some of the words. I only pick up what I want to hear in Spanish. And Alexis is like, man, when we met, she's like, you really, you kind of do know Spanish. And, she's not listening right now because she had something to do this morning. So I can just tell you that Spanish I learned was going to college for 2 years in East Los Angeles, and I just used the Spanish to pick up Mexican chicks. So I had a kind of a built-in language ability that was developed for nefarious reasons. But she probably never even knows that all these years. Hey, listen, a high of 43 today, an afternoon rain or shower. And then tomorrow, a high of only 33, a snow shower in the morning. Then maybe some sunshine later in the day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we should see sunshine on all of those days, but lower than normal temperatures as we get highs in the 30s for the rest of the week. What else? Weather brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. I wanted to talk about something, and I've completely lost my train of thought on what that is. And there is a story out of Valparaiso that it's actually Porter County. Indiana Department of Natural Resources are investigating the illegal dumping of 91 dead geese in rural Porter County. Indiana is among several states that allow for liberal taking of snow geese, which have been found to have some negative effects on Arctic tundra. So the issue is not necessarily that they took any birds, it's what they did with them. Conservation police have determined the geese were shot and illegally dumped sometime last week in the area of County Road 500 West and 1000 South. That's just south of Indiana Road 8. Dumping dead geese into water is a violation, and those who are responsible could face a Class B misdemeanor. Well, let's try to think about it. If it was Lake County, where would somebody have shot 91 geese and just dumped them? Huh? What do you guys think, huh? Conservation police have been talking with local residents who reported seeing a group of hunters taking snow geese a few miles north, and they're trying to figure out who those hunters were. I'm guessing it's a Lake County person. They went down there and just started shooting geese. Snow geese are a different species than Canada geese. Snow geese populations in northwest Indiana aren't as widespread as Canada geese, but they do show up in large numbers in isolated pockets. All right, somebody has to answer this one for me. What kind of geese are they at Wicker Park? Because they are all over the place. Now, you guys know I play a special brand of golf with, mostly by myself, but once in a while I'll get some other local ne'er-do-wells to come out there with me. Notably, Gary Bell out of the Pride of Hammond Gavitt. He grew up right behind me. Or Matt Meneghetti, the Pride of Lake Central. He actually played for Dave Malosnik, who I just interviewed. Meneghetti is a much better golfer than he ever was a basketball player. But he'll play. Kirk DeMino Smith will come out. I got my daughter's boyfriend when he comes in from New York. I play, it's called JED golf, and you play with one stick, 2 balls, 9 holes. And you basically run it, or you can walk it briskly. And you just hit it and go, hit it and go, hit it and go. And a lot of times I'm out at Wicker Park by myself, and I'll be out mostly in the fall. This will happen. And I'll hit the ball away from there's always geese on like number 1 and 18, and some of the other ones 10 and 8, and they're all over the place. And I'll hit the ball away from them. And then they'll start circling me as I come up to my ball. And it's a little bit disconcerting because you realize, you go, man, if they all attack me right now, I'd be toast. And some of them get a little bit mean. And I'll tell you another area where they get mean. Once in a while, I ride my bike to work. I'll start that up pretty soon. And there's a bunch of them right behind Walmart. And there's a bike path that goes behind Walmart right next to this little lake, and they go in and out of the lake, and then they come up on the berm. And sometimes when I come around the corner, there's maybe 20 of them or 25 geese, and half of them will be on one side of the path and half will be on the other side. And then I'll zip right through there. Well, one of the times I noticed that there was a little baby on one side of the path, and then there was a big goose on the other side of the path, and it just struck me. I'm like, I sure as hell hope that's not her kid on the other side. And no doubt it was. And I zipped right through there in shorts, and that thing came right up and kind of nipped on me on, going at my leg on the bicycle, because, it didn't want me going after its kid on the other side. I mean, any parent knows that natural instinct to protect your kid. So they're not all just beautiful little creatures sitting out there. Not only that, they leave all these turds around on a golf course. They're like they're not like normal turds. Like, I don't know what they eat. It's like when you've this is going to sound great, but it's like when you've been out drinking red wine all night and you go to White Castle's, you wind up it's a little green in the toilet there, and that's what those little geese leave all over Wicker Park. And every once in a while, your ball will roll into one of those, and you're like, great, I have two choices here. I can either pick the ball up with my fingers and get some of that green goose poopy on my fingers, or I could kick it, get it on my foot, or I could just hit it. And I'll tell you a gross story about this. I remember one time I'm like, all right, I was playing for some money, so I couldn't move the ball. It was next to a goose poopy. And all right, well, I got to hit it. And this actually was at Woodmar Country Club back in the day. And I hit the ball, and it was a nice shot on, I don't know, like number 7 at Woodmar or whatever, and number 8. And I hit it, and it was almost like a laser beam. It squished the goose poopy, and some of it just shot directly into my eye. And can you imagine the negative remarks towards geese at that point? I mean, you're sitting there trying to take a bottle of water and just like wash goose poopy out of your eye. You know, you'll remember that the rest of your life. And then the only thing you're thinking of is Bob Costas at the Olympics with his, remember you had that, what do they call that, pink eye? Anyways, I don't know why that will always be funny to me. You couldn't get him a pair of sunglasses? Hey, anyways, 219-845-1100. Let's see how MX is doing today. Hey, man, how you doing?
I like the story of the geese. I was working on another Mimi for you, but I might have to switch that around. But either the geese voted for Trump or they wanted to mate with you. Either one, Jed.
Yeah, well, you ride your motocross bike where you're not supposed to. I mean, if you come up on a cackle of geese and they're not expecting you, they're not very nice. You know what? They caulk, or I don't even know what they caulk. You know, they cackle.
Hooty hoo.
Yeah, hooty hoo at you. And then, like I said, that one snipped at my leg, and so I wouldn't ever want people to go out and kill 91 geese and then throw them in a field, but I can understand where people are, they don't want them around. You kind of try to shoo them away in one way or another. You ever come up on geese while you're riding your motocross bike?
Well, like Mayor Karen said, out of sight, out of mind. But deer don't know what a dirt bike is, and I had one charge me a few years ago. And geese, they're pretty much more into the river. And I used to hunt geese all the time and ducks at the slough. I've never heard somebody do that many destruction to geese. That's really bad. You know what? Whoever gets caught for that will be sitting next to bunches. Believe me. Those game wardens don't play games with.
Yeah, but you see, this is a species. Now, there's two types: the Canada geese and the snow geese. And evidently, they're okay with you shooting the snow geese because they're messing up the Arctic. So, to some extent, they kind of want you to... If I remember reading an article on this, I got a daughter who's all into this environmental stuff. She has these magazines laying around. And one of them was about the snow geese causing a problem. I don't think this is one like if you go out and shoot an eagle, like you go to prison for 4 years or something like that. No, I think the snow geese, they don't want people to just take them in big fields because all of that remains will actually seep into the water system. You don't want that. You know what I mean?
All hunters know if you shoot game, you should clean it and eat it. They could have cleaned them snow geese, and gave it to the Haven House, or gave it to a soup kitchen, and make goose soup. To do what they done, I don't think they were hunters. I just think they were just trying to get rid of snow geese. And,
yeah, that's what it sounds like. That they were somewhere, and they're like, let's shoot these things and get them off our property, and then let's dump them somewhere else. And that's where they made a mistake. You don't just dump them in a field. You got to dispose of them. You know the way to do that, right? Is just kind of put some in dumpsters all over the region, and then and nobody knows. I mean, you've done that before.
No, I haven't.
All right.
But I've had the deer try to mate with my dirt bike, and they come and try to horn you.
Deer are another thing. You don't realize this. We get deer that come through our backyard, like 6 or 7 of them most evenings. And, beautiful little Bambi and stuff, man. They bring Lyme disease, and, they leave big, just massive turds all over the place,
Yeah, then your dog eats it. And there's another thing, too.
Your dog eats it.
Yeah. Then you got to, but fox, a lot of fox that you won't see on foot because they can smell you. They don't know what a dirt bike is, and they'll just look. They'll take off, but they a lot of game doesn't know what Bigfoot. I seen Bigfoot on my dirt bike. You there?
I'm a little curious if I want to hear the end of this story. You saw Bigfoot on your dirt bike. Go ahead.
Yes, there was a radio host you used to have made me go hunt for Bigfoot. Remember that? And on the Gary Airport, and it was Tom Dapperton.
Oh, all right. I thought you had...
Which meme you want? You want the goose biting you or 8 million views on your basketball? Which one you want?
You know what? I've never directed you or given you any, indication of what kind of art you should produce, and I'm not going to start now. All right?
All right.
All right, man. Good talking to you. Hey, I got a text that came in here. Thanks for the great interview with Coach Malosnik and the update on Ty Weidman. He was a wonderful student in my classes and is a great person. Proud to have been one of his teachers at LC. Good luck this weekend. Go Indians. And Tyler Weidman was given the Big East Sportsmanship Award. And, of course, he's right here out of St. Is that a Cherville or St. John? Cherville. He's a Cherville kid. And he went to Lake Central and was on Malosnik's state, the team that went down state. And he is in his senior year at Butler, averaging about 10 points and about 5 rebounds. All right, guys, I'll be right back on the voice and face of the region.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
What gets you fired up when you think about college? Explore your roar at Purdue University Northwest. With 2 exciting campuses in Hammond and Westville, more than 70 areas of study, and NCAA Division II athletics, Purdue Northwest offers it all at an excellent value. Learn more at pnw.edu and apply today. That's pnw.edu. Join the pride at Purdue Northwest.
Hi, I'm Mika Sanchez, athletic trainer at East Chicago Central High School. Athletic training is part of Community Healthcare System's sports medicine program. Our fellowship-trained, board-certified experts are ready to treat the athlete in you, whether it's pain or injury from activity on the court, in the field, or in your everyday life. We offer sports medicine services and locations throughout Northwest Indiana. To learn more, visit our website at comhs.org/sports.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? AM 1230 WJOB on 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. Also streaming live on Facebook and Twitter. And we had a couple of people asking about the Malosnik interview. I think you can't actually access that on Facebook until we're done, right? So when I'm done here at 8 o'clock, then it'll post to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you'll be able to go back and listen to that. Was pretty good. Malosnik is opening up over the years. He was almost like a different guy in his at his home gymnasium in Lake Central. He's always very serious man. And Kuziak and I are doing the game, and someone comes up and jacks us from behind as he's walking by, and it's Dave Malosnik, and I'm like, oh, he's just happy to be home playing the sectional. And you guys can hear that interview. They'll be going up against number 1 South Bend Riley, and they have Demezi Anderson. I've called him Demezi, but it's Demezi Anderson. He is going to IU next year. He's the real deal, and they're going to have to find a way to clamp on him. Ryan, I got to believe it's going to be Keon Sellers that's going to guard him. Yeah, probably. And we'll see if what Sellers or Graciano can do on Demezi Anderson. All right, 7:04 in the Calumet Region. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Ford. A little bit tight from, say, 111th on up through 95th. And then you got Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue. They're all moving along well. And traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. And what do you have in terms of the weather? It is a high of 43, an afternoon rain or shower, probably maybe in the, in the 1 o'clock area to 5 o'clock area is your chance. And then maybe another run at about 8 or 9 at night. And then for a number of days, it should be clear. Tomorrow, it should start dropping. At about 1 o'clock, it should be around 43, 44 degrees. And then by 8 o'clock in the evening, it should be in the low 30s and kind of a little bit windier. So it'll be one of those things where, it's not so bad. And then you go into work after lunch, and then you come out and you're like, dang, it got cold out here. Well, yeah, that's what you're going to have. And then tomorrow, I have only 33 as it gets down to 20 tomorrow night. And then on Thursday, it gets up into the mid-30s again, and it gets down to 20 overnight. And then by Friday, get up to around 40 degrees, get some sun. All right. I do want to mention about our broadcast schedule on Saturday. For the sectionals, we are partnering with, and I believe this is the future of broadcasting around here, is to collaborate with people, local media outlets, and ultimately the ultimate goal of mine over time will be to divert some of the marketing dollars that goes to Chicago radio and Chicago TV for local businesses down here and keep some of it at home. And one of the ways to do that is to put on larger projects. And this is a project that I caught with basically with Bobby Cox of the IHSA so that we could put these games on in video. And part of it is to see a number of things. One is how do we work together as local media, and what are people willing to watch it? How are local administrators and athletic directors, how are they going to accept it? They haven't all been accepting of Facebook Live video in the past. But one of them is that I have felt as if there's not been enough attention given to high school basketball over the last, say, 10 years. And we have owned WJOB and tried to do as many high school basketball games on the radio as we could. But as we're doing the games on the radio, pretty much how they did in the 90s and the 80s and the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, the audiences were shifting to the phone and to live video. So my theory was that we had to, not only as a business, but for the good of high school basketball, had to shift to that audience and hit people where they want their media. And I figured we could get through the whole tournament between us and Region Sports, we'd get about 100,000 views of the tournament. Ryan tells me we're almost already there on the sectionals. We may already be there. So there is an audience. Ramirez and I are kind of working together well on this. And then also, I think it is raising a little bit the attention given to high school basketball, because it really is a joy, and we need to remember that. We've got to re-energize it. And this year, hopefully that's happening. You can go watch these games, and even Coos was telling me, he's like, yeah, my father-in-law wasn't listening to the game last night. He was watching it on his phone, and he's an elderly man, so even the older people are kind of going to it when it comes to high school basketball. Hey, man, I can watch that thing. Heck, I'll watch it right now, sitting at home and watching it instead of crowding around the radio. So it's been a success so far. But Saturday, Ramirez, I'm like, all right. He's like, man, can't we have Lake Central? And I'm like, yeah, what the heck? I mean, can't we have Michigan City? We've always done the Michigan City Regional here at WJOB. I've always done it personally for the last 10 years. I've gone out and spent the day at Michigan City. I'm not going to do that on Saturday. Ramirez and those guys said, hey, we did Valpo. We'll cover Lake Central. We'll do a good job of it. We'll make sure everybody sees all the things they want to see, and our announcers will talk about all the great things that happen in the sectional and all they're doing. I'm like, all right, as long as you're going to cover Lake Central well, why don't you guys take Michigan City? And that opens it up for us to give some pretty good coverage of Calumet. And we need to get the head coach on, Ryan, on Thursday of Calumet, and try to get Hammond High's head coach and Andrean's head coach also throughout the week. We'll try to get each of the head coaches on to the show. So we'll be out at LaPorte and North Judson. So all day Saturday morning, you got to have your phone on. Hey, move on up to that microphone. What's your name? What's your name?
William Hatzel.
William? Do you always go by William? Is there a shorter version, or is it always William?
William or Will is fine.
Will?
Never been a Bill guy, though.
Okay, Will Hatzel. And what year are you at Ball State?
I am a junior.
And what are you studying there?
Telecommunications, looking to get into this business, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you're okay living in your parents' basement for a few years?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, good. Just so you know, that's where you're headed if you want to get into this, into radio, TV. So Ball State has a pretty good program, right?
Yes, both men's and women's has been pretty good here. It's been on the rise the last 3 seasons. Luckily enough, when I was a freshman, they kind of turned it around with the men's team as well. So
you know what? That's perfect. You thought I was talking about sports, and I was talking about the communications program.
Oh,
it's great. So, well, I mean, that is they've got the Letterman building, right? Or Letterman? Yes. Is it the
Letterman building?
Yeah. What's in the Letterman building?
Just a lot of classrooms for usually geared towards the telecommunications department or even journalism classes. The radio station WCRD is in there, which is the radio station that David Letterman helped found back when he went to school there. So part of the reason why they named that building after him, since the radio station sits inside of it. But yeah, I spent a lot of time working at that radio station and being in a lot of different classrooms, and also it houses the offices for all the TCOM professors and the dean and whatnot. So it is a pretty nice building. I think they dedicated it to him in 2007.
Yeah, that was very nice of him to, remember his past. David Letterman, he made a big impact on Muncie. Is really, and it's not just the university on Muncie itself. My aunt lives there, and I've kind of followed this whole thing. She worked for the university for 33 years. So you grew up in Munster, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you went through, did you do speech and debate over there? You work on a paper? Or?
Yes, I worked for the Crier. I was the sports editor.
So you want to be a sports guy?
Yes.
So typically if you come out of communications and you're like a news features person, you've got about a 1 to 2 year stint you got to do in your parents' basement. But if you come out and you want to go into sports, you get about a 3 to 5 year stint in your parents' basement, because that's even harder to break into. So I don't want to discourage you, but I just want to make jokes, and that's all there is to it. Listen, so you came out of the Munster program. Who were your influences there?
Well, really, it was a lot of outside stuff. I definitely did appreciate my time with the couple of advisors I had that were in charge of journalism, the yearbook, and the newspaper at the time.
So you were on the yearbook and on the newspaper, and so you did a lot of writing.
Yes, yes.
Now, are you doing a lot of writing right now at Ball State?
No, I haven't been able to keep that up as much as I would like. Since I've been more in the TV and radio aspect, my interests have kind of changed.
You thought you were going to go out there
Yes.
to be a Sports Illustrated magazine writer, and then you realized that radio and TV is much more interesting.
Yeah, and I like to talk. Maybe part of it's because I'm Italian and I come from a family that just all we do is talk and yell and scream. So that has part to do with it. I have nothing against writing, but I did find that talking seems to be more of where I'd like to go. But I would like to try to keep up with my writing, although my major doesn't totally gear me to that anymore.
And the exact major is?
It's telecommunications with an audio focus.
So you like radio?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Mhm.
So now I've talked to you before, right?
Yes, we talked, and it was 2013 or 2014 because it was, I believe, Munster High's 60th anniversary, and we were talking to, we wanted to do a story on some famous alumni, and I got assigned to talk to you. So I think you were on vacation.
That
too.
still was. So it wasn't the Hall of Fame thing. It was before that, correct?
Yes, that's when
okay.
they were still planning the Hall of Fame.
Yes, they were planning the Hall of Fame. So yeah, you interviewed me, and that you did a great job. And I didn't realize that someday. Now you're going to be interning here. Is that it?
Yes, over the
okay.
summer. So you'll
I
see a
don't
lot
make
more
very
of me.
many of the decisions around here, so I didn't know this. But why aren't you in school right now?
Spring break.
Already?
Yeah, Ball State has a very early spring break. A lot of my friends that go to other schools around the state and in a couple other states, they don't come home for another 2 or 3 weeks. And Ball State, it's always early. And last night, I was out hanging out with friends, and just the fact that we had that like little bit of hail and rain going on. I'm like, yeah, I have friends in South Carolina enjoying 70-degree weather, and in Arkansas 70-degree weather, and I'm back in the region.
So, are you going to be hanging out here all week? Is that what it is, or just today? Or
Just today, but in May I'll be starting here, and you'll see a lot more of me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just curious if they've taught you like any of this at telecommunication school. That typically talent, like the people that host shows, and the people that think they're really cool because they're on the radio, that they're mostly jerks during the breaks. And then all of a sudden, when the microphone turns on, they seem like a nice person.
Mhm.
Did they tell you that at all? They didn't tell you that, did they?
No, they don't.
Okay, because like I always tell the interns that come in. I don't really tell them this directly, so that you're getting one advantage that if you have a real thin skin, and me making fun of you or being kind of nasty to you once in a while. I mean, you're going to be okay with that? I mean, it's just...
It's totally fine. I'm
all right,
the
because
intern.
you will be
I
the low
can't-
person on the totem pole.
Yes,
All right.
I understand that.
Okay, you're just so everybody understands it. Did you guys explain that to him? No, you didn't. You just thought that I would do that. Thank you. All right, so this, it sounds like I'm a really nice person, and then we go to a commercial, and then I let go a bunch of F-bombs, and I tell these guys what losers they are, and then I come back, and then so you're going to be part of that group. So you might be told what a loser you are during the break, and you're going to be okay with that.
That's fine. I'm grateful to be here to learn and stuff. So
Okay, because I don't want to give an unrealistic view of the world, because when you go out into the real world, like when you work in Chicago or you work in a major market, most people are just kind of nasty.
Mhm.
And I just want you to know that, we just try to carry that tradition on so that you get a good schooling and you're prepared for the world, okay?
Mhm.
All right,
Totally
man.
understand.
Will Hatzel is going to be here. Hey, guys, thanks a lot, Will. We appreciate you coming in and learning. And if Ryan says you're a good person, you're a good person. So thanks for coming in, and you can go back and sit over there with him now. All right, hey, let's talk about what else is going on around the Calumet region, and I will take your phone calls. I've got Wes Lukosius coming up. We're going to talk about the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame coming, and Ryan, you have something you want me to talk about? Oh, Ryan wants to do sports. All right, guys, we'll be right back here on the voice and face of the region.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the science of behavioral health has evolved, it's revealed the important connection between physical and behavioral health. With this in mind, we're pleased to introduce Edgewater Health, which includes primary care, in addition to our long-standing mental health and addiction services. Whichever combination of services you need, Edgewater Health is here for you for your whole life. Learn more at edgewaterhealth.org.
Baxter Printing, located at 3837 Ridge Road in Highland, is a family-owned and operated union print shop that has been serving Northwest Indiana for over 60 years. Our list of satisfied customers range from union locals and politicians to the everyday entrepreneur working hard to get their business off the ground. We help make that happen through our expert design and advice, creating everything from every-door direct mailers to business cards and banners. Why don't you let the Tarosi family at Baxter Printing assist you in your next project? Call us today at 923-1999 and hear me say, Baxter Printing.
Tarosi's on. I didn't even know that. Way to go, Tarosi, on that. Hey, you want to be part of a study? Here it is.
Do you have or are you at high risk for cardiovascular disease, also known as CVD or heart disease? Are you unable to take statin medications due to side effects? You may be eligible for a clinical research study being conducted to test the safety and effectiveness of an investigational medication that may help to reduce the occurrence of major CVD events, such as heart attacks and strokes, for patients with or at risk for CVD who are also statin intolerant. To qualify, you must be at least 18 years of age, have a history of or are at high risk for CVD, have not been able to tolerate 2 or more statins, and meet additional study criteria. Qualified participants will receive all study medication and study-related care from a dedicated team of medical staff at no cost. Health insurance is not required to participate. To find out more and to see if you qualify, call Cardiovascular Research of Northwest Indiana, LLC at 219-203-1990. That's 219-203-1990. Call now. 219-203-1990.
7:19 in the Calumet region. What time is it? Time to go to Albert's. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. And you got something on your mind? Give me a call, 219-845-1100. And here we go. It's called little man syndrome. Tell Diedlow to grow up and get over it. Geese and Trump voters are of equal intelligence. Why don't you guys call in and talk to me, man? Geese and Trump voters are of equal intelligence. Want me to read that backward word for you? Isig dna pmert sretov fo leuk es negalitne. Geese and Trump voters are of equal intelligence. 219-845-1100 is a number here. Let's, I got to tell you that since we were so busy with putting together the deal to get the section of tournament basketball done, we had to sell it. We had to put the legal parts together for it. And then we had to put all the teams together and work out stuff with Ramirez and with all the schools. It was a lot of work. Then we had to actually do the games. Now it's kind of like we just go out on Saturday. So it's nice to get back in the saddle and just kind of screw around a little bit. So if you guys want to screw around, now's the time because I'm here. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west. Hey, show that kid how to answer the phones. And 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford up the gut of the Southland is 115th Street up to maybe 95th is a little tight. Other than that, it's moving okay. Skyway Toll Road, Borman, and I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue are all moving along pretty well. And traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service from right on Torrance in Lansing. What do you have in terms of the weather? A high of 43 today, a rain or snow shower coming our way, maybe mid-afternoon. And it's also supposed to get a little bit colder. And by midnight tonight, it should be close to freezing after being up around 43 at noon. And then tomorrow, much colder day. And for Thursday, kind of cold days and the highs in the low to mid-30s. And then it gets to the upper 30s by Friday, but still, that's quite a bit colder than the normal time here in March. But those are all sunny days from Wednesday all the way through Saturday. And weather this morning is brought to you by Carpenter's Local 599 that sponsors the phone line here and has been such a good sponsor for WJOB and, of course, built these studios as it was a union-built studio that we're sitting in right now. And if your union wants to contribute to the cause, give us a call at 219-844-1230 on the business line. I want to thank a special thanks to the electricians, to the laborers, of which I am a proud alum of that, and then, of course, to the iron workers and the carpenters. All of you other unions who are sitting on the sidelines, that's what I got for you right now. But for the 4 that step forward, you guys are my heroes. Anyway, 7:23 in the Calumet region. What time is it? It's time to go to Albert's. Ryan Walsh is with me, and Ryan, why don't we just take a couple phone calls, see how people are doing? How you been, by the way?
Fantastic. It's Taco and Tequila Tuesday at Johnny's Tap.
It's Taco and Tequila Tuesday at Johnny's Tap. So let's see how Charlie's been. Charlie, what are you doing, man?
How you doing? What happened to Verley today?
You know, I think Verley is getting a makeover today, and she couldn't make it because she was getting her hair cut, and she was getting a manicure.
How's Fish doing today?
How's who?
Fish.
Fish? Oh, you mean Michael? Hey, I got good news for you, okay?
Uh-huh.
Sam Michael does his own show now from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. So I have a feeling that means that he's not going to be here as much in the mornings, or at least the early mornings. But you can hear Fish. You know what? Why don't we call it Fish Stories?
Okay.
Yeah, that should be his name of his show, Fish Stories.
So when is Johnny and Steve coming on?
You got to call him, John. You got to call him Charlie.
Charlie, you call him and have him get a hold of me, and I'll have him on.
I don't know their phone number.
It's 867.
Wait.
No, I'm kidding. I was going to give you 867-5309 or Hudson 32700. I couldn't figure out which one. No, I don't know their number. I mean, I know them on Facebook. I have them. I do have their number, but I'm not giving it to you.
Okay. When you gonna call them?
You're gonna call them because I like having them on. I mean, Johnny and Steve are legends, man. And they're doing some traveling right now. They might be in Florida right now.
Yeah, I'm going to call them. You call them. Okay.
No, you call them.
I don't got their phone number.
All right. Well, we're going to have to work on this one. This is kind of like who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third.
Well, I have to call Ryan, and he could give me their phone number.
Let me think about this. All right, you call Ryan. He'll figure it out for you.
Okay.
So how's your health been going, Charlie?
A little bit good. I got my appointment today with my prostate doctor today.
With your prostate doctor?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I want to ask you a question. Who's going to be the next sheriff of Lake County? What do you think?
Oh, man. I got to tell you.
Are you running, Charlie?
This is so up in the air, Charlie. Charlie, how come you didn't run? It seems like everybody's running for this. I don't know, man. If I had to handicap it, I don't know. I'll answer that question after I...
What do you think about Dave Dowling?
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird because all of the guys that are running, and I mean all of them, I have met, and they all seem like pretty good guys. You know what I mean? And I think that we're lucky that we have so many people that could perform the duties of that job, including the guy who's there, Oscar Martinez. He's doing a pretty good job now, as far as I could tell. Put some good people into places. Put Bill Patterson as his chief of police. He's a pretty good guy, and he's got Ed Jenkins as his deputy. He's got Emiliano Perez. I mean, he's added some good people. He's put together a good team. He could be your guy. Dave Dowling has shown that he, as a police chief, he could do a good job. Rich Ligon, with his background in the postal area and his community service, he could do a good job. Mike Brown could do a good job. Betty Dominguez worked as a probation officer for a long time. We're lucky, Charlie, that we have so many good people to choose from, and I really mean that.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I don't think of Dave Dowling as any better than any of the others. I don't know him well. Put it that way.
I thought about Andy Griffith and Barney Five. Huh?
I love the way you think, man. I always have.
I
gotta go. I got some real stuff to do right now. Who's gonna win? Hey, I got a question for you guys. All right, 3 Hispanics, 3 blacks, and a white guy walk into a bar. What is it? It's the sheriff's race. Anyways, let's talk to Dave from Gary. Dave, how you been, man?
Fantastic. How are you?
What are you doing? You didn't like my joke, did you?
I kind of get wore out when Charlie calls, especially right before me. Get me out, man.
He's time. 3
I'm just thinking,
Hispanics, 3 blacks.
Anytime anyone asks me anymore, even though I'm Oscar Martinez backer, I get the, who do you think's going to win? And I just, the one who gets the most votes.
How ugly do you think this thing's gonna get? It's already gotten just kind of entertaining so far with this Jackie Sutton thing.
Yeah.
And I just wonder what's going to come out because, it's Lake County politics. And now that they're saying, like, Bob Cantrell's involved somehow, I don't, or
I
at
think
least.
you answered your own question. You just said Lake County politics.
Oh, I'm looking for entertainment. That's all I'm looking for.
Well, you're looking for radio, and we all appreciate that because you don't hide from it. You call it out, and it is what it is, and you're looking or Carriage House. What was the name of the furniture store where you're at? Your building.
It was called the Carline House, and the
Carline
only
House.
reason I know this, well, I think somebody told me that recently. I mean, I knew that, and I have been here when I was a kid, and but there is a plaque here in the building that talks about this Carline guy and the whole family. And they were big people here in Hammond. I've never heard the name again. You know what I mean? I mean, they must have all moved away. But there's a plaque in Mont Hanley's office here that explains the whole thing. Do you remember going to? What was it after the Carline House?
Dr. Willardo's office.
How long was it Willardo's office for? That's right.
Not real long. Maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe.
No, it had to be longer than that. So
No,
I wonder
it
when
wasn't long.
when do you think the Carline house closed? Hey Wes, when did the Carline house close?
I believe it was early 80s.
Early 80s, late 70s? All right, Wes Lukosius is up next, and he, besides his other duties, he is the local Hammond historian, especially Hessville in the Woodmar section, and he says it was early 80s that they closed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he would know. I mean, he's been in Hessville forever. So
That's like 7 decades is forever. He's not that old. Hey,
well, he's my cousin, so I would, I've known him. He's known me since I was in diapers. So
Hey, let me ask you a serious question about this sheriff's race. I'm starting to see a lot of these guys around. I see Dowling. Dowling was at the sectional game, and I see Oscar Martinez. I saw him at 2-9 day. I've seen Rios out yet. I've seen Dowling. I've seen a couple of the other candidates. Haven't necessarily talked to them. Mike Brown has been out. So, in terms of the Dowling versus McDermott thing, do you think that could be a determining factor? Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott is saying that he believes reports that perhaps Dowling and perhaps his wife are behind the Jackie Sutton on Facebook, which has had some negative things to say about Hammond. And he has said that he wants to kick Dowling's butt if he comes to Hammond. You think that is a factor in this election?
well, I think anytime you add the McDermott factor, it becomes a factor. He's a powerful man in Lake County. It used to be ergo if you didn't get Gary, you didn't win a county race. Now I think over the years that has turned to Hammond. If you don't win Hammond, you don't win a county race. So that's one of the largest voting blocks in Lake County. The last thing I would want to do as a candidate is anger the guy who runs that voting block. So the one thing I see in the Martinez campaign, his ground game. I haven't seen anyone equal it. It's a huge ground game, and we'll wait and see. I'll do what I can do, and Gary for him because I have been openly backing him. But me moving from Highland to Gary, it slowed down my campaigning and my networking. There's no doubt about it. I got a lot on my plate right now, but it's the one thing, his ground game, and I'm not gonna turn this into a.
Yeah, it's almost an endorsement, but that's okay.
Yeah.
One of the other things that's pretty interesting right now is to watch what's going on in Illinois between Pritzker mostly and Rauner, and they are running some nasty ads about J.B. Pritzker. Did you see the one where they used a taped recording of him talking to Blagojevich about the least offensive black guy that they could get to run for one of the positions?
But, I mean, that's how the sausage is made. Jed, I think we all know, that the same things go on in Lake County. And I'm sure the feds have some great audio of that being said by various candidates. The same thing goes on behind closed doors here, but it just happened to be on tape. And
they must. Here's what I think: whenever they start, it starts getting really that nasty and negative towards a guy, then they're getting scared. You know what I mean? Then they're thinking Pritzker may be getting some momentum, and he's certainly got the money to just flood the media. You know what? We're right next to Illinois. Call that guy. See if he'll buy some stuff here. But anyways, I
bet he would.
Go ahead.
No, I bet he would. I bet both of them would. I mean, especially the other, your other tower, where you hit. I mean, you hit a lot of the south suburbs. I mean, I'm around there all the time. When you're talking Glenwood and Thornton and all that, you're coming in loud and clear over there. But it's
you know what? It's a good idea. Hey, Dave, good hearing from you, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right. Hey, Ryan Walsh is here with the Johnny's Tap Sports Update. What's going on?
Butler forward and region native Tyler Weidman was voted yesterday the winner of the Big East Sportsmanship Award. College basketball polls came out last night. Purdue is number 10 in the coaches poll and the AP poll. Notre Dame starts their ACC tournament play today with a matinee against Wake Forest. The Fighting Irish and Demon Deacons face off at 1 p.m. NBA action from last night. Indiana Pacers edged the Milwaukee Bucks 92-89. Boston Celtics dropped the Chicago Bulls to their fifth loss in 6 games with a 105-89 win. NHL hockey, the Chicago Blackhawks are back in action tonight. They host the Colorado Avalanche at 7:30. Tonight on WJOB, we'll have Illinois High School sectionals. It's Chicago Simeon versus Brother Rice.
You guys hear that? After all these years, hey, Wes, where did you remember as a kid you'd listen to like Thornridge games on WJOB? We used to do Thornridge and Thornton and Thornwood and TF South, TF North, all those games. Our friends at the Region Sports are doing the Illinois sectionals that are going on right now. And we're going to have Simeon and who?
Simeon and Brother Rice. And, you mentioned those high schools. You're thinking of Cliff Floyd, Mark Mulder, Antoine Randall, Eddie Curry. I mean, they've gone to the
We're going back
levels.
to Quinn Buckner. I remember the first time I listened to Quinn Buckner was on WJOB in 1971 or 1972. Wes knows. So we're going to bring it back today. Ramirez and I talked about it, and I'm like, well, go do those Illinois sectionals. Bring it back. Let's see what happens. And we're going to have it all week, right?
Tonight, tomorrow, and Friday.
Tonight, tomorrow, and Friday, we're going to have Illinois sectionals. I'm not kidding. You guys think next thing you know, what's going to happen, right?
Ohio?
Yeah, Ohio's next. Yeah, we haven't had one of those in Moeller High School.
Let's get some Cincinnati Reds broadcasts this year. How's that sound?
You got to mix it up a little bit. All right, what else you got?
That's it for the sports scene. We'll get back to Indiana basketball on Saturday, 10 a.m., noon, and maybe 7 o'clock will be the games. And then we'll find out Purdue's fate on Sunday night for the NCAA tournament. That selection show is 5 o'clock on TBS this year. It's not on CBS. It's on cable television only. So CBS fans and regular TV, people that don't have the cable packages, got to go somewhere to watch the selection show.
He is Ryan Walsh, and he is a sports director here. Ryan, I got to give you kudos for putting that whole sectional thing together. It really was a high point. And once again, if anybody wants to watch the interview with Dave Malosnik, you got to wait until we're done here, and then this whole Facebook thing and Twitter and YouTube will post, and you can go back. And I interviewed him around 6:20 this morning, and he was very affable and had a lot of cool things to say. We also talked about the number 1 team in the country or the state that he'll be playing with Demezi Anderson. That's South Bend Riley. They are 24-0, and Lake Central's got their hands full on Saturday morning. Johnny's Tap is where?
It's at 8050 Calumet Avenue. It's at the intersection of Broadmoor. Tonight, it's Taco and Tequila Tuesday. They've got 1,800 tequila, $4 for a shot or a special mixed drink. And we'll be out there next Thursday for the opening day of the NCAA tournament 11 o'clock tip-off. I'll be there joined by a couple other people from WJOB and Wayne Mick, Mark Forey, I think John Selzader, maybe Dave Kuzak will stop by as well for some basketball. But again, we'll find out Purdue's fate on Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock.
He's Ryan Walsh. Up next, Wes Lukosius.
You know, I enjoy watching basketball at home, but I think we should go over to Johnny's Tap in Munster for drinks and fun.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Speaking of fun, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
Mr. Who and Mrs. Who?
Mr. and Mrs. Fun, but they're at Johnny's Tap.
Okay, I'll see you there at the corner of Broadmoor and Calumet Avenue.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Johnny's Tap. New ownership, now smoke-free, and still the home of Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
A real neighborhood type of place.
Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
Carpenters Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
Knock, knock, who's there? Mike Brown, Mike Brown who? Knock, knock, who's there? Mike Brown who? Knock, knock. Hey guys, 7:40. What time is it? It's time to go to Albert's. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region here in Hammond, Indiana, right along Indianapolis Boulevard in the Strachan Van Til Studios. You can watch us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube, live streaming, and I hope that you do. Let's take a look at traffic. And Sam will be flashing up the traffic map on the screen as we do this. But 294 around the city is a little heavy as you approach the Stevenson. 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford's got a little bit of a tight spot at the merge from, say, 111th to about 95th, concentrated on 103rd and 95th. And just if you can get past that, you're okay. The Dan Ryan itself, it's got a little bit of tight spots all the way up, but it's been worse. As you approach Jane Byrne, it's tight 35th on in. Skyway and the toll road, they're a breeze. So is a Borman. I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue, all moving along pretty well. And traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. And let's take a look at weather. That, of course, is brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I am very much a proud alum of that fine union. A high of 43 today. An afternoon rain or snow shower. And then tomorrow, a high of 33 only. And Thursday, a high in the mid-30s also. And then by Friday, a high of 39. But overnight, it's going to get chilly, get into the 20s. Right now, 33 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It is 33 degrees at Local 395 in Portage. And it's also 33 degrees at 41 in Munster. And the markets are flying up right now as the Dow is up 140 points after being up 300 and some yesterday. So it's coming back after that little dip following the tariff announcements. And I don't know if this is good news or bad news. It's almost as if the market is saying, you know what, those tariffs aren't going to happen. And it sounds as if the Sanders, the press announcer for Donald Trump, was kind of backing off on it a little bit yesterday. All right, guys, 7:42 in the Calumet region. We have an old friend. Hello, old friend. It's really good to see you once again. Hello, old friend. How you doing, Wes?
Doing well, Jed.
Hey, typical fashion. Turn your mic on, will you?
Turn my mic on.
It's on the top of the microphone.
Here we are.
No, up. Pull it towards you. There you go. Right there. Now talk into it.
All right, are we okay?
Yeah, you're okay now. What's going on?
Man, lots of things.
All right. Are you on? There you go. Ryan, is that number 2? Is it orange number 2? Okay, good. Hey, Wes Lukosius, longest running show in WJOB history. It was, wasn't it?
You tell me that. I'll have to take your word for it one of these days.
It wasn't. It wasn't the longest running show in WJOB history, not by a long shot, actually.
Well,
the Wes hosted Purdue Calumet Sports Insights from when?
1985 until last summer.
So that's 85 to 2017. That was 32.
Almost 32 years.
So 32 years. And at the time when he finished the show and retired from Purdue Northwest, it was the longest running show in America in the same time slot. And I was at 5:30 on Friday evenings. And it's no longer doing that. PNW today is kind of taking that over, and that's at 8 o'clock in the morning here on Thursdays, every other Thursday, I believe. And the oldest show was that Irish show. That ran the longest.
Oh, on Saturday mornings?
Yeah, what was that guy's name?
I don't
Man,
remember.
he had a hots for my wife. I'll tell you what. He just was like googly-eyed. Old. Martin Fahey. Martin Fahey was here the longest. He did that show for over 50 years.
It's very popular.
It was very popular. But they didn't want to pay anymore. They didn't have the money. So life is just a business, and you got to make people pay or you're just giving it away. But and then Wally Skabinski was on for that show, Polish Cavalcade. What did they call that? Somebody text me, what was the name of the Polish show? Come on. Polish Cavalcade of Music or whatever. But that was on over 50 years, too. So your 32 years is like a pittance.
I'm just a
compared to those.
footnote.
You're just a footnote. Chucho and Javier do a Spanish language show on Sunday morning. Chucho started here. Wait, no. Javier started here in the 50s. It hasn't been the same show the whole time, but that would be like 65 years of the same show. So we don't change things around here too
Jed,
much.
I'm so impressed with your historical perspective. Where did this come from? You didn't have this before.
You know what? I'm starting to gain an appreciation for the tradition. And you're it. You're the tradition here. Remember the first day you came in with John Friend?
Yes, I do.
And I was sitting there in 1985. I was in a WJOB office. I'm like, what in the heck is Mr. Lukosius doing here? And why is my high school football coach here? It
was the first show, Friday before Labor Day, 1985. We had the chancellor at the time, Richard Combs, and we were live. We were doing the show live then at 5:30 to 6 p.m. every Friday night.
And Mike Farkas and I were there getting ready to go out and do a football game in Highland. I don't know why I remember it was at Highland, but Farkas and I were doing the game, and Wes and Coach Friend were getting ready for the show. It was kind of weird. I didn't realize it would be such a moment in history, but it was.
Mike Farkas used to do a talk show 5:30 to 6 Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday nights he'd go set up for the high school football or basketball game. So there was an opening there, and that's how we got it at Purdue Calumet, and that became Purdue Calumet Sports Insight.
Mike Farkas went to what, Bishop Knoll?
He did.
He was a Bishop Knoll guy out of Cal City, I think, right?
Right.
He had some goofy friends, man. I used to hang out with him, and I got to know all of his friends. And you know how you think of a guy as like a really straight shooter, and like he doesn't, he doesn't have any vices, and he's never messing. Farkas never really joked. He wasn't a joker. He just was always straightforward. And then you meet his friends. I'm like, dude, it didn't make any sense. These guys are like knuckleheads. And I was on their 6 and under team over here for a number of years and got to know a couple of them. But
what
anyway,
Mike used to do, he'd had a big broadcast for the sectional basketball week like you guys, continue to do. And he'd have people at every site. And it was all part of the WJOB network. And then after the Saturday night sectional championship game, he'd take everybody out for pizza. And he paid the bill himself.
Yeah. We did the same thing on Saturday. We all went over to Jedi's, and I think we had like 13, 14 people. And that's basically a Farkas tradition that is still carried on today. I wonder how Farkas would carry. I mean, as you well know, we changed in one season, basically changed how we cover and have gone to videoing all of the games. I wonder how he would what his opinion of that would be.
I'm sure he would have adapted very well and would have been very professional. He's up in Minnesota, North Dakota area right now.
Yeah, I think he's actually on the Dakota side.
Right,
I forget the name of the town, but he went. What is it? No, he's not in Fargo. He's in Moorhead. Yeah, he's in Moorhead. Yeah. So he's in Moorhead. His wife's family was from there, and he wound up going to work in the family business. And
actually, his brother was up there working, and he went up there to work for him, and I think he met his wife up there.
Oh, is that what it was?
I think so.
But somehow his wife's family had a business too, and so he's never comes back here. Evidently, I've contacted him. Well, I think I'll be up there. I'll be there back in a couple of years. I'm like, well, just come on in. We'll talk. He's never really taken us up on that. Hey, Wes Lukosius is in here, and here's I got a text here. I loved listening when Quinn Buckner was on the radio here, and that was in 1972.
That's when he graduated, 72, and of course he played on a great Thornwood team as one of the top teams.
Thornwood or Thornridge?
Excuse me, Thornridge. He played.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
you know what? That is the first time I've ever been able to correct Wes, and I was right and he was wrong.
Thornridge, you're right, Jed. 72, and they won a state. Thornridge won, I don't know if it was back-to-back state championships that were unbeaten. Of course, that was the year after Washington. East Chicago was unbeaten in 71 and Roosevelt in 70. And as I recall, I think Thornridge played East Chicago, Washington at that time, either the year that one of them was unbeaten. And I don't remember the details of the game, but that was a pretty historic time in high school basketball up in this region.
Who was the other guy that played with Quinn Buckner? And I think I got a name in my head, and let's see if you know what it is. It's whenever people say, hey, 1972 Thornridge team, they say Quinn Buckner and this guy. Lloyd Batts?
Yeah.
Lloyd Batts. Remember, where did he go? I don't know, man. I do remember that. So Roosevelt was I remember listening to the Roosevelt and Washington games as a little kid in my bed, and it would be a big deal. Like, where are you going? Well, I'm going to go lay in bed and listen to the WJOB game. And when Roosevelt, you didn't know it. If you guys know basketball, or if you guys have just moved over from Illinois, or you're younger, you don't know this history. It was a very special time, as East Chicago Roosevelt had Jim Bradley, and it was coached by Coach Holzbach, and they were kind of a one-man team. But then the next year, in 1971, it was East Chicago Washington that had like 5 almost all-American players on one team. And then the next year, it was Thornridge, which back then we had a tighter relationship with Illinois, and it wasn't such an iron curtain at the state line. It was a magical time to listen to basketball on the radio. But I remember starting to listen in 1970, and you didn't know that the Rough Riders were going to be such a big historic team, but you knew they were going to be good with Jim Bradley. East Chicago Roosevelt Rough Riders. That always to me sounded so cool on the radio.
They were a great team, and you may remember they used to play most of their games on the stage, the old auditorium stage at Roosevelt High School, and then move their games over to the Washington Gymnasium.
Yeah, when they had to. I mean, they played on the stage, and it was hard to get people in there. Maybe like 900 or so.
It was like an auditorium. You're all on one side watching the game up on a stage. It was, it was a unique atmosphere.
That's right. I remember that now. It was like going over to the Munster Auditorium. But was it a full basketball court?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow, those are pretty good memories, Wes. Hey, by the way, the Morton Governors, with Coach Robert Hall dying in the middle of the year, Scott Lush did an amazing job over there. And I think I just had Dave Malosnik on, head coach of Lake Central. I've known Lush for a long time, just like you have. And Malosnik put it best. He goes, there's one guy in the region that has been around kids and doing a great job that just has not gotten his due, and that is Scott Lush over at Morton.
Scott's a great guy. Of course, he stepped in very difficult circumstances with following the passing of Coach Hall. He's been involved with sports at Morton forever. He played at Morton. He's the baseball coach. He's a Morton governor, bleeds red and gray. And I get over to Morton from time to time, and I see Scott, and, great guy, always he's always got a smile on his face. And you're right, he's all about the kids.
He used to hang out with a region ne'er-do-well, and I'm not talking ill about a dead guy, because he was one of my friends, and it was Joe Fletcher out of Hammond High. And if you guys drive by Riverside Park, you see along one of the hopefully they didn't take it down. They better not have taken Fletcher's pen. They had Fletcher's pen because Fletcher was a big fireballer at Hammond High, and then he was a pitching coach around here. But man, when Lush and Fletch would play together, they'd come by my house once in a while, and I'm like, hey, listen, I got a family, and you guys are just out, tooling around. It's good to see you, but move on your way. But Lush actually has settled down quite a bit since Fletch died, because he was such a bad influence on me and Lush and everybody else. But Lush still is just not. I mean, I really like the way he handled his team. And I'll tell you what, near the end of the game, where they knew they were going to lose against Lake Central in the sectional final, it can get chippy sometimes. Guys handled them. I talked to a couple of the players after the game, tried to tell them, hey, you guys, you should make everybody proud. They wouldn't hear any of it. They were pissed they lost. But it was a great sectional.
Yeah. Those are memories that you take with you. Obviously, if you're Morton, you want to win the game, and somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. But you're right. I give them a lot of credit, and Coach Lush held them together under very difficult circumstances.
He is Wes Lukosius, and he has a lot of hats now that he's retired from Purdue Northwest. I kind of miss going up to see Chancellor Keon and coming down the end of the hall, and there's Wes in his office as the communications guy, but now he's gone on to some other paths. Now you're working with the foundation?
Working with the Hammond Education Foundation, which is a not-for-profit body that helps the school city of Hammond with our mission of extraordinary learning experiences to help Hammond students succeed. So I've been doing some work with them part-time. There's a wonderful program, and I know you've talked about it here on the air, called the Blueprint Program. It's a course for prospective college students who are high school seniors and who are academically qualified to go to college but may not understand the nuances of how to get into a college, the application process, how to get financial aid, that type of thing. And so this class is all about that. And then when 40 kids graduated from the program last year, all 40 went to college. And my job with the foundation has been to follow up with the kids and to talk to them in college. How's your first year at college been? Any difficulties, challenges? What have you done to try to battle through and be successful? And really some amazing stories of these young men and women who go to college, and they've got a lot of pride about being successful, and they're succeeding as college students.
He is Wes Lukosius. He wears a lot of hats, and we're going to go into that program at another time, a little bit more in depth, because he's right. There's some I love storylines, and there's a number of storylines within that group of 40. You got a big thing coming up next week.
We do. The Hammond Sports Hall of Fame. It's that time of year again. Next Tuesday, a week from this evening, the 32nd annual induction dinner. And as you know, Jed, this has been a labor of love for me. I've been involved with this on the steering committee since the very beginning. 1987 was our first induction dinner, and we continue on every year at this time in mid-March. It'll be at the Hammond Civic Center, and tickets still are available. We have a great induction class of 7 individuals.
How much tickets?
$25 in advance, so we encourage people to buy them in advance, because if you wait till the night of, they'll go up to $35. So get them at the Civic Center. We've had other outlets, but as of middle of this week, the only place to get them will be at the Hammond Civic Center.
At the Civic Center. And you just walk in. If you guys don't know where the Civic Center is, you're probably not going to this thing. So just walk in and go to the window on the right, and they'll have the tickets there.
The Park and Recreation Department. The tickets are being sold through that office on what would be the Soul Avenue side or the west side of the Civic Center. That would be the north office then.
And I do want to just give a shameless plug here to the folks out at the Civic Center for treating us so nice at the Hammond sectional. I went out there, and Markham was treating me well, Hines, and the rest of the people in the Parks and Rec office did a great job. They fully accepted the Facebook Live nature of it, and without their help, we wouldn't have been able to put that on. All right, who would talk about the class?
7 individuals. You'll know most of them, I think. Our good friend John Bobolik, who people know him from Purdue Calumet and Purdue Northwest, and a great fitness advocate. But a lot of folks don't know that he is one of the pioneering marathon runners of this era, of this age. Back in the 1970s, he did some amazing, recorded some amazing times running marathons. And so he actually popularized the sport. He became active and popularized the Calumet Region Striders, and some of the road races that have evolved here in Northwest Indiana all have John's fingerprints and, I should say, footprints on them. So he's being inducted. Our lone deceased inductee, Wilbur Burkholtz, 1930s era athlete from Hammond Clark High School, who went on to play minor league baseball in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. Another guy, Tyrone Higgs, you remember him from Hammond High back in the early 80s. A lot of folks remember him as a quarterback, very athletic quarterback who played on some great Hammond High teams, also played basketball there. He'll be inducted.
Who was that kid he played with? Who was his teammate that was well known also?
Well, there were a lot of good players. Jeff Colby was one of the linemen, and I believe Jeff is going to introduce Tyrone at the dinner next Tuesday. But that was really a good era. George Hall was the coach.
Yeah.
And they upset one of those years. They upset Hobart in the sectional championship. Quite a ball game.
They were just too fast. I think I was at that game, and they just Hobart was a swarming defense, and there was, I think it was Higgs, but there was another guy in the backfield. They just could not. And I saw Higgs one time take a ball from scratch from the center at Griffith, run all the way to the right, right in front of Russ Radke, and then run all the way to the other side in front of Coach Hall and score a touchdown. It was a beautiful thing. But anyways, go on.
Yeah, he quite an athlete. Then another Hammond High athlete, Elias Marks, who was a wrestler, also about the same era in the 80s. He was a state champion and a nationally recognized wrestler during his day, so he's being inducted. Also, you probably remember a baseball player out of Bishop Knoll named Marcus Smith, who also played some basketball, but he signed with the Minnesota Twins organization and played some in the farm system there. A good friend of both of ours, Rick Stanford, Hammond High guy, my era actually. I think he graduated in '69 from Hammond High. Great three-sport athlete, but he may be as great an athlete as he was perhaps even better as a football official and baseball umpire for 40 years. Well recognized, called many a state championship games here in Indiana. He's being inducted. And then finally, last but not least, from my era, Frank Tokley, who was a great basketball player at Morton, factored into the greatest upset basketball victory in the history of Morton High School. 1967, Morton upset Hammond High, coached by Gunnar Wyman. Hammond High was ranked second or third in the state of Indiana. Rodney Ford, Rick Ford, and that whole era of Hammond High guys.
Before or after Bootsy White, or was Bootsy White on that team?
Bootsy White played at Hammond Tech.
That's what you said. They upset Hammond Tech.
I'm sorry. Morton upset Hammond High.
Hammond High, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
If I said that, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But this was a game, and I was a freshman on the Morton squad, on the sectional squad. I didn't play, but I practiced with the team. And a month before, Hammond High had beaten Morton by 25 points. So here we draw each other in the first round of the sectional.
Oh, it was a sectional upset.
It was a sectional upset. Played over at the
Oh,
Civic Center.
look at Wes. If you guys could see this, he's still happy about it. He's still giddy about the Governors upsetting Hammond High, a crosstown rival.
It was amazing.
All right, so Tokley played for Morton?
Yeah, Frank Tokley played for Morton. He was he was a top scorer his senior year in the city of Hammond. 22 and a half points a game. He was he was the guy. And Morton had the Robertson brothers, Cal and Larry, were on the squad then. Rick Volbrick and
Volbrick out of Highland.
Yeah, actually Ron Volbrick, his brother.
Volbrick.
Yeah.
So that's Rick's older brother.
Younger brother by a year, and a guy named Berard. His first name escapes me. Was
Julius Berard?
No.
No, I'm sorry. I just made that up, and you know that. Hey, so who was on the Hammond High team?
Well, it was
move up to the.
It was the Ford brothers, Rodney Ford and his brother Eric. Rodney was a senior. Eric was a sophomore. And this was a team that Gunnar Wyman had coached, had developed this team since their sophomore year. When Ford was a sophomore and a couple of the other guys, he started them. He was building for this year. They were ranked second or third in the state. Morton draws Hammond High in the tournament, and as upsets go, it happened. Morton hit all the shots, hit all the free throws down the stretch. Hammond High couldn't buy a basket. It was one of those, how upsets happen, and Morton wins the game 65-62.
That was at the Civic Center?
It was.
God, I wonder if I was there. I'll have to ask my dad, because he used to take me to the sectionals when I was a little kid. And we'd sit way up in the top, and I just remember it being just jam-packed. I just remember one year Bootsy White being the best guy there. Now, did Tech wind up winning this sectional?
Tech didn't. Let's see. That was 67. I believe Tech or Munster.
Munster did not win the sectional in 1967.
Munster had a couple really good teams in that era, and Bootsy White played on a Tech team, and Munster and Tech played. If it wasn't that year, it was the year after for the championship, Hammond sectional.
And Munster beat them?
Well,
you can't remember now.
I can't remember.
My dad would know. Hey, Dad, what are you doing? Don't call me after. Call me tomorrow on the show. All right.
But Bootsy White was one of the greatest players I think I've ever seen in Hammond.
I agree with that, and I remember my dad saying, look at this guy, and he kind of had like a kind of big butt, and he could push people around a little bit but he was still like a guard kind of.
He was a guard.
Maybe he was 6 foot, 6'2", maybe something like that. But he could get rebounds down low, and at the same time he could basically out dribble, and he was quicker than everybody. But he wasn't really thin. He was a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
And
he went to IU to play.
Yeah.
He played. In fact, he played I think for Lou Watson, and then Knight came in to coach, and Bootsy was on Knight's first team.
There he is, a walking encyclopedia of sports history. Come on out to the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame. We'll promo this all week long. Maybe we'll get one or two of the guys to call in. All right, guys, that'll do. Thanks, Wes. We'll keep promoing
Jed,
it.
thank you.
All right, hey, I'm a little bit late, but Dan Repe, I want to thank Dan Repe for his expertise that he has been lending to the Indiana High School basketball tournament. He is doing it all free of charge, donating his time to bringing the games to you guys. And you know what? I think I'm going to give him 100%. I'm going to give him 100% raise right now as we speak. 200% raise. Thanks a lot to Repe.
At Corellis Roofing, our motto